What's up, fam? How we all doing out there? It is the third day after the full moon. It's January 6th, and things can be a little intense right now. So some people can feel a little vulnerable. Some people can feel a little emotional. Some people can kind of be coming around the bend and becoming more clear about the things, the people, places, and things in their life and their situations, and kind of readdressing that space in a way where they're just looking at looking at these situations from a place of clarity and deciding whether it's good for them or not. And I wanted to get all this out because I wanted to come in here and just be a hulk and be funny as shit, because this is actually the third time that I'm making this video, and not because somebody's fucking around and somebody doesn't want the message out like I've heard in the past, which makes me laugh at this point. It's more so the fucking understanding that Mercury is in play today. We got the sun, we got Venus, we got Mars, and we got Mercury all in Capricorn. So each string is being plugged accordingly, is being plucked accordingly, is what Spirit is saying. And those strings are all for the betterment. It's important to understand that. Taking things personal right now is probably not the best thing to do, because a lot of people are escaping. They're hiding from themselves. They're not digging deep. They're not willing to look at whatever it is that ails them, or whatever it is that makes them feel a certain type of way that causes them to cower into some form of escapism. A lot of us don't know how to deal with ourselves, but we've created these profound coping mechanisms that are extremely complex because they have to do with different people, people, places, and things. And we have these kind of like different modalities of how we kind of like coddle ourselves in one way or another. And I believe that's all coming to the surface right now. Today is about having confidence and realizing that it requires structure for you not to fucking cave in on yourself on a daily basis, right? We have to have some responsibility and accountability. We got to learn how to breathe and, kind of like learn stress management and take care of these things. But that's on a physical level. When the spiritual aspect of ourselves is asking to look deeper and to look for more and to balance those spaces out, because it creates a better physical environment, or a more manageable physical environment for ourselves, by that balance, by that alignment, that discipline, and all those beautiful things that come from meditation, breath work, focusing on yourself, incorporating more passionate endeavors or more passionate drive behind your things, being mindful of your energy system, how it works, taking care of yourself, eating healthy foods, drinking water, or whatever that is that creates more love, no joy, positivity, happiness, harmony in your system, right? Because now we have to look at what we've been feeding off of at this point. And this is a very good point of observation, because we have a tendency to feed off emotions, dopamine. We might have habits and addictions that are associated with these feelings that we're trying to nurture in one way or another. And it's Spirit's way of saying stop coddling and stop nurturing things that don't require it. Stop the con job that is going on in the back of your mind that wants you to be safe, that wants you to be stable, but doesn't understand what true stability and true alignment actually look like. We're being shown the facade, is what I'm hearing here. And it's an important aspect of ourselves to realize that the manipulation is what Spirit just said, because it's an overall manipulation. When you look at the system and the way it's structured, it's some form of slavery in one way or another, and we feel like we're victims to it, and somehow that we have to settle, that we don't feel like we're free, that we're liberated, that we're sovereign in some way. How we're taxpayers is what they're saying, because of course that's coming up in the news, and there's people that are afraid that we're all going to war and we're all going to hell, and the apocalypse is coming. And we can feed into any of those dialects and any of those varieties right now, but this is an emotional purification come from many places. You're meant to see these things happen in one way or another, but also understand that you don't necessarily have to partake in it, because if it's disdain, dis-ease, or disorder, then it's not of the Creator. It's not in alignment with who you are. And if that's a consistent aspect of your life, then focusing on what the fuck that is might be a good idea. You know what I'm saying? And this is the time for that, is what Spirit is saying. So it's like, now's not the time to put your head down. Now's the time to pick your head up and understand that you have all done this before in some way, somehow, but are now tired some way, somehow, or are vulnerable to the fact that there is manipulation here. You know what I'm saying? That we've been coddling ourselves for too long, or we've been lying to ourselves for too long. It usually comes up around this time, around the New Year's resolution space, that you realize it's like, I need to make a change. What change am I going to make this year? A promise to yourself. Because that's the most profound promise that you could actually make to yourself, because this time you're committing to keeping it. because there's a lot of promises out there that haven't been kept, is what Spirit is saying, especially to ourselves and to others, and how are we distributing that love? How are we distributing that flow? How are we asking the universe and ourselves to be more abundant and fulfilled in each moment, right? And not only does it take a breath, but it also takes intention. And when you're coming from a place of suffering or survival, and you're trying to get past whatever it is that you're suffering, or you're in some survival mode about, you got to remember that takes an energetic reaction. So that means that you have to stand up for yourself in that moment. And I believe that's what they're saying here, is that it's a time to rise. It's a time to strengthen your awareness and be more confident of the situation, because now you are observing the fact that your emotions have been ruling you for way too long, and you've manipulated into thinking that these things are actually trying to, set you free, when in making you simultaneously feel like you're backed in a corner, right? So we could focus on the fact that we're either backed into a corner, or we could focus on the fact that we're being set free. And it's like as Spirit said, how do you want to live? You get to choose. And this is the profound aspect and understanding and well-being of making a decision towards that space, of the matter of fact that has been presented before you right now. And it's like, hey, dude, this is brass tacks, bro. If you want to make a promise to yourself to a better way of living and a better way of life, it always starts with your intentions of how you see and feel about the matter, and then understand you're going through a purification process to achieve that higher light, that higher frequency, because everything else that is crumbling right now or feels like is imploding is getting in the way, right? And what helps the most right here, and I'll leave it here, is the fact that now that you know that these things are happening for you, you are more confident in navigating one by one what is being presented to you right now without freaking out. For those of you who need help in this space, or would like more help and insight in this space, we have a soul council session that you can come to on the website, fourcornershealing37.com, and we'd be more than happy to help you in these situations, to give you more insight and clarity to how to focus on these matters with a more positive perspective, or a more open perspective of what's really happening, being honest with yourself, giving you authentic truth and realization and guidance that will help you support you through these next 7 days, because it's going to be a little bumpy, fam. They're showing me turbulence, right? It's not over. I know that I can almost see some people in the background literally going, oh, but I can't wait till this is over. Well, that might be dejection, and that might be escapism, because those who truly spiritually understand the aspect of what's happening right now are standing in their stability. They're standing in their groundingness. They're fortifying their anchor in the planet, or in this energy right now, knowing that we are getting ready to receive blessings, that we are getting ready for more, that we are receiving opportunities by not taking on the regular mundane bullshit that we have before, or the regular mundane behaviors that we've had before of ourselves. So with that being said, just a little insight for today. Much love to each and every one of you. And, please reach out to us if you have any questions. Don't forget to like, comment, share with anyone that you think would benefit from the knowledge and wisdom that we share here. And check out womboftheancientsun.org, which is the ministry which my wife runs as well, which I am also a part of, because I have also been taught by it. So much love. Take care, fam. We'll talk at you next time. Peace.